Kaitlin, what are you picking up about the Veterans Affairs Secretary?
Well, he could be the next on the chopping block after the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson here, Wolf, because as we are reporting, the President Trump has grown very frustrated with the embattled Veterans Affairs Secretary over his handling of the agency and he's now looking to replace him. And he's even got some names that he's floating out there, like Energy Secretary Rick Perry, who the President had lunch with at the White House yesterday. And sources tell me that they were discussing moving him over. Now, back to Shulkin, the President has grown very frustrated with him in recent days. Of course, that agency has been under the spotlight a lot lately for several scandals, some including the Secretary himself. But it's not just the President that is frustrated with David Shulkin. It's also the Chief of Staff, John Kelly, who met with Shulkin here at the White House last week to discuss the state of affairs over at the VA and what they can do to move forward. And Chief of Staff John Kelly grew very frustrated after that meeting because David Shulkin went straight to reporters essentially to tell them that during that meeting that he was essentially given the full confidence of the White House to fire any staffers that he feels are disloyal to him over at the Veterans Affairs. Now, John Kelly is disputing that count according to sources familiar with his thinking. He says it's not an accurate portrayal, and he was also frustrated that Shulkin's first move when he left that meeting was to tell reporters what had happened. So a lot of frustration growing there, Wolf, but largely it goes back to the President being very frustrated with him. And what is clear is that he wants him out at VA, and now he's looking for a replacement. And right now, Rick Perry is at the top of that list.
The dust has barely settled after the President fired his Secretary of State by a tweet this morning, and now he's considering replacing his Veterans Affairs Secretary with Rick Perry, who is currently the Energy Secretary. What message does all this send?
I think it's a clear message from the top, which is that the President is emboldened. I think he's kind of wanting to rip the Band-Aid off here. And, you know, I was talking to somebody who's close to him who said that I think he now thinks he's got it. He doesn't need anybody. I can tell when he's concerned about things and he's not. So it seems to me that this is a president who believes at this point, after more than a year in office, he's figured out how to be president. He didn't like the fact that Russ Tillerson publicly disagreed with him on issues. I've been told that they had a difficult relationship, that the president considered him arrogant. And so therefore he fired him in a tweet. I think with Shulkin, it's a different story. I think with Shulkin, it's as it was with Secretary Price, he's embarrassing the president. And that's a cardinal sin. You don't make Donald Trump look bad, period. And I think from talking to my sources that the president may be thinking it's better to get this all done at one time, get it all over with, and then move on, and that may well be what he's doing.